Hello, everyone, and welcome to my lesson on probability. So, let's start off with the classic question, what is probability? And the definition of probability is the likelihood of something happening. It's pretty straightforward. It's the probability of an event is a value of how likely something is to happen. So, for example, let's just take the classic heads versus tails dilemma. So we have a coin, right? Everyone knows a standard coin has a head side with a president on it, and then the tail side, which is usually the eagle of the United States, right? And so we want to ask, what is the likelihood that it'll land on either of these sides? Now let's look at this in an analytical way. The likeliness to land on heads is just the same as it is tails. So that means that heads has a 1/2 chance of landing on heads and a 1/2 chance of landing on tails because we know that it has to land on one side, right? Now let's look at something called the probability line. This is a good way of looking at how we number these probabilities, and we use 0 as something that is impossible to happen, so it just can't happen. Impossible. And then we use 1 as something that is certain to happen. And then in the middle is where our heads and tails thing is, because it is 1/2. That it means it's likely but also not likely. That means it's a 50-50 chance. And any of these numbers in the middle, that is more likely because it is higher than 50%. And any of these numbers back here means it's unlikely. So, something easy to remember how to determine the fractions of a possibility. We're going to stick with the heads and tails example. An easy way to remember this is on the numerator, we want to have the number of outcomes possible, right? We want to have the number of outcomes possible that we want to have on the numerator. And then on the denominator, we're going to have the total number of possibilities. All right? So then for the heads and tails thing, we have one possible outcome, what we want. Say we want it to land on heads. And then on the bottom, we have 2 possible outcomes that can happen, which would be it either landing on heads or tails. Now let's move into something a little more complex with more numbers, right? So everyone knows the 6-sided dice, right? It's got 6 sides, all different numbers, and it can only land technically on one side up, right? Either one, we're just gonna write numbers in them because I don't. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oops. 6-sided dice. You got 6 numbers, and you need to land on one. So that means say we want to land on a number at random, then we have a 1 in 6 chance of it landing on something. We want one number, which is the numerator, but we have 6 possible outcomes, which is the denominator. So if we want it to land on 2, there's only one possible way that could happen, and it's if it lands on 2, but there's 6 possible things. This fraction, to find the probability of it landing on one specific number, is about a 16.7% chance that it lands on a specific number. Now let's move on to something a little more difficult. So, we have a question here that says, what is the probability of choosing a blue marble and then a yellow marble. So let's start off with the basics. We know our probability of choosing a blue marble is a 4 over, since there's 4 blue marbles, 1, 2, 3, 4, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 marbles in total. So we know that the probability of choosing that marble is a 4 in 11 chance, which comes out to be a 36% chance, right? 36.36, right? And then it asks, what are the chances of choosing a blue marble and then a yellow marble? But now that we chose the blue marble, that means one of the marbles is eliminated out of the bag, and we're hoping it's blue. And that means we only have 10 marbles left over how many yellow marbles there are, which is 3. So now we know that that is a 30% chance of getting a marble yellow next. But that's not what they're asking us. They're asking us what is the probability of doing those both in a row. Now to find that, it's pretty simple. You just have to multiply the 4 over 11 by 3 over 10. Because in doing that, we have to double the chances or make the chances worse, because it is hard to do 2 things in a row that they are asking us to do. And doing these and then multiplying it gives us the answer of the overall probability of picking the blue marble and then the yellow marble. So this comes out to being rounded 6 over 55, or a 10.9% chance. There you go. Let's move over to something a little more difficult. Now, the question is, in a deck of 52 cards, what is the probability of drawing 3 aces in a row? So we know we have 4 aces in a deck, right? The ace of clubs, the ace of spades, the ace of diamonds, and the ace of hearts. Now, the probability of drawing one of the aces first is a 1 in 13 chance, because we know there's 13 cards of each suit, and there's 52 cards, and there's 4 aces, or more simply, there's 4 aces and 52 cards, which is 4 over 52, or 1 over 13. So we're just going to use the simplified version, because we know that 1 over 13. Now for the next card, we're going to have to, there's only 51 cards left. And we know that there's a 3 and 51 chance of picking the next ace, or a 1 and 17 chance. They're the same thing, just reduced. And the next one is there's a 2 and 50 chance. It's only asking for 3. So there's a 2 and 50 chance, or a 1 in 25 chance. Now to find this, like we know, we have to multiply all the probabilities together to find the overall probability of picking 3 aces in a row. So we're going to use P for probability of overall, and then we're going to get 1 over 13 multiplied by 1 over 17 multiplied by 1 over 25. And in that, we get an answer of 1 over 5,525, which comes out to be 0.018% chance of drawing 3 aces in a row. Now my final example is probably the easiest question in the history of math, but what is the probability of Mr. Kilroy giving me an A? Now, this is actually a pretty hard one to explain, but let's just say it's a 50-50 chance So there's a 50% chance that he does it, and we're going to leave it up to the heads and tails classic probability one. I'm flipping a coin right now in my room. If you don't believe me, then I don't know what to do about that. Oh, I'm flipping it. Just caught it. Landed over. Mr. Kilroy, you want heads or tails? All right, I'm giving you tails. If you get tails, then you can give me whatever you want. But if I get heads, then I get an A. I'm uncovering it right now. Oh, it's heads. Only gets an A. Thank you so much for watching, Mr. Kilroy. You were the best teacher. I'm serious when I say that. And thank you so much for having a great class. Peace out.